Greetings citizens of the world. A very interesting new Ministry of Foreign Affairs, MOFA, report circulating in the Kremlin detailing today's foreign policy meeting involving the apparently never-ending saga of Western false accusations against Russia, that caused Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to emerge from and blast the West for projecting its election meddling guilt on Moscow. Notes that the past 24 hours has seen the entire world political community watching in stunned silence as President Donald Trump delivered a coup de grace, a death blow to end the suffering of a severely wounded person or animal, against his deep state-aligned Democratic Party enemies hoping for a blue wave-inspired 2018 midterm election that would sweep them back into power, and that Trump was able to do by his single-handedly masterminding an election rout in America's third-largest state of Florida yesterday, and that come November, we'll see an epic spectacle of Trumpian conservative nationalist forces battling directly against the rising socialist globalist forces of Bernie Sanders, George Soros for the very soul of the United States, all of whom will, no doubt, soon witness the full power of a Trump-engineered red tsunami. According to this report, the Foreign Intelligence Service, SVR, is authorized to protect the state from external threats by using the means and resources stipulated to it in federal law, and whose duties include monitoring the daily activities of foreign leaders whose nations possess nuclear weapons that can be used against the Russian Federation. That includes President Trump, but whose information gathered about, if not deemed a risk to national security, the SVR delivers to the Foreign Ministry for evaluation. In early March 2017, this report continues, a seemingly at the time innocuous SVR report given to the Foreign Ministry documented that President Trump had attended a charity event at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, and among whose attendees was Mar-a-Lago member and Palm Beach billionaire Jeff Green and his Chinese-Australian real estate executive wife Mai Shi-chan, Florida real estate investment, property management and property renovation company owner Thomas Chris King, and billionaire Miami Beach Mayor Philip Levine. With President Trump, himself a billionaire real estate builder, having for decades associated himself with other billionaires and real estate professionals, this report notes, the Foreign Ministry did not document any significance to this March 2017 Mar-a-Lago event, that is until, during the following 8 months, Jeff Green, Chris King and Philip Levine all announced that they were running to be the governor of Florida. At the time of President Trump's March 2017 meeting at Mar-a-Lago with Jeff Green, Chris King, and Philip Levine, this report details, the race to be the next governor of Florida was pitted between Republican Party establishment politician Adam Putnam and Democratic Party establishment politician Gwen Graham, both of whom were assured of their primary election victories, and who would face each other in the 2018 midterm election. Due to longtime Trump associate and Mar-a-Lago member Jeff Green suddenly entering the Florida Democratic Party primary to confront Gwen Graham in a bid he couldn't possibly win, however, this report says, the Foreign Ministry began a closer examination of Chris King and Philip Levine, with their noting that King, as a longtime Christian, was more aligned with Trump than the Democrats, and whose real estate company, Elevation Financial Group, LLC, stands ready to make tens of millions of dollars from Trump's Housing and Urban Development Department, with Levine, known as the Trump of beach politics, also, being more aligned with Trump than the Democrats as he had partnered with Berkshire Partners to acquire Starboard Cruise Services, whose owner, and one of the world's richest men, Warren Buffett had declared before the 2016 U.S. presidential election that if Trump wins, Berkshire wins, and after Trump won, saw Buffett declaring that Berkshire stood to make $11 billion, of which Levine would substantially benefit from. In discovering what President Trump was actually doing with Jeff Green, Chris King, and Philip Levine, this report notes, the Foreign Ministry designated them as spoiler candidates whose true purpose for running for the office of governor of Florida was not win it, but to destroy the chances of Gwen Graham being able to ever claim it. To why President Trump launched his Green King Levine spoiler candidates against Democratic Party establishment frontrunner Gwen Graham, this report explains, was to ensure she would be defeated by her Democratic rival Andrew Gillum, the mayor of Tallahassee, Florida, that is under a massive FBI investigation for corruption reaching to its highest levels of government, whose tentacles have ensnared and entrapped everyone in its path. But that didn't stop, in any way whatsoever, anti-Trump globalists George Soros and Tom Steyer from pouring money and support into their socialist ally Gilham's campaign, and that led to his upset victory over Graham just hours ago. In early June 2018, too, this report further details, President Trump began receiving polls showing that his Green King Levine spoiler candidates were, indeed, taking down Gwen Graham, and whose main beneficiary of was Andrew Gillum, and that then saw Trump suddenly endorsing his stalwart ally U.S. Congressman Ron DeSantis to be the next governor of Florida, who after Trump's endorsement skyrocketed to the lead over Republican Party establishment candidate Adam Putnam, and who hours ago, like Gillum, won a stunning victory upset. In an audacious move to create a made-for-television 2018 midterm election spectacular that literally no one in America, let alone the world, will be able to keep their eyes from, this report continues, President Trump has single-handedly masterminded an epic battle pitting his nationalist forces against those of his deep-state globalist enemies, and wherein nationalist Ron DeSantis will be able to proclaim the astounding economic victories of Trump, while socialist Andrew Gillum will attempt to convince Florida that they should follow the path of the People's Republic of California, and whose socialist leaders, this past week alone, have just made California the first state to eliminate judges being able to impose bail on criminal defendants and are preparing to give all of their illegal aliens free health care, but whose true reality of, that the rest of America isn't allowed to know about, shows California evolving into something more like apartheid South Africa or the pre-civil rights southern United States under segregation, as California's leading tech companies have concentrated their wealth and power in a tiny circle, pushing more and more out of cities and into traffic, and who are doing little to stop stagnation and social rot below the upper tiers of the economic pyramid, and whose socialist ruling political class, relishing the privileges of one-party democratic rule, don't have a workable program for solving as they near total financial collapse. This report concludes by surmising that the deep state-aligned U.S. mainstream propaganda media has, no doubt, already begun writing their headlines for the 2018 midterm election governor race in Florida, most particularly because they can claim that President Trump is a racist for attacking the black socialist candidate Andrew Gillum and favoring his chosen nationalist candidate Ron DeSantis, and they've actually already started doing, but that the masses of the American people have already tuned out, as exemplified by there being more evidence of a red tsunami about to wash over the United States than a blue wave, with fully 1,618,013 Trump Republican voters flocking to the polls yesterday in Florida, as opposed to only 1,508,984 Democratic voters showing up, and who were matched a few hours later by Trump Republican voters in Arizona, who outnumbered Democratic voters in that state too.